A sudden flash of lightning, an immediate crash of thunder, and the power is gone. The transition from a normal evening to absolute pitch-black sensory deprivation happens in a fraction of a second. In that sudden void, the darkness carries a physical weight. It feels as though a massive, ruined palace has collapsed from above, burying the room in debris and pinning the narrator to his bed. There is only one tiny, fragile source of light left, a single glowing ember of a cigarette, flaring bright orange with every breath taken in the dark. Outside, the streetlights are still on, but through the window, that lit road doesn't look alive. Stretched out and completely motionless, it resembles a paralyzed patient who has suffered a massive stroke. This total isolation is absolute. Trapped in the dark, he lies eyes wide open, watching the play of light and shadow on the ceiling, waiting for something, anything, to change the air in the room. Resting in the dark on the desk nearby is a piece of paper. It's an obituary announcing that a 31-year-old friend named T. Viswanathan has died in a car crash. The language used to describe the accident is highly specific. The obituary calls it an untimely demise. It is easy to see why a grieving mother would choose those words, entirely refusing to write the word killed. But that phrase raises a question. What exact age or physical condition turns a death into a timely one? Is it 60? Is it 70? Or is 31 simply too soon for the narrative to end? Look at this timeline of a standard human life expectancy. Viswanathan's 31 years feel like a half-smoked cigarette, abruptly thrown onto the floor during a movie theater intermission. We struggle to accept this kind of sudden tragedy. An interrupted life violates our expectation for a complete story, leaving us to grapple with a middle that has been forced into an ending. A second flash of lightning cuts through the dark room, pulling our narrator's attention away from the obituary. The brief flash illuminates a massive spiderweb suspended near the ceiling. He remembers watching the spider construct this trap weeks ago. It was a masterclass in geometric design, built with slow, methodical precision. Since then, that spider has operated as the apex predator of the bedroom. A silent assassin, efficiently snaring, killing, and consuming any lesser insects that wander into its territory. Watching this process play out day after day creates a complex feeling, a mixture of fear and intense disgust toward a creature whose entire existence revolves around executing its neighbors. Yet in the face of sudden loss, this brutal ecosystem provides a kind of grim comfort. If mortality is a harsh, inescapable biological law, where the strong naturally consume the weak, then perhaps there is a logic to who lives and who dies. Then the darkness breaks again. In a brief flash of light, a new shape is visible, hanging entirely motionless, tangled up in the intricate threads of the web. Seeing that tiny form struggle against the web, the narrator is struck by a heavy sensation, the frustration of watching a life snagged on something it never saw coming, unable to break free. That feeling demands action. Saving this tiny piece of prey becomes a symbolic attempt to push back against a process that usually offers no chance for appeal. He stands up in the pitch-black room, navigates toward the ceiling, and carefully reaches his hand into the silken web to extract the motionless body. In the middle of the night, with the power out and a friend gone, this small intervention is the only thing he can do to assert himself against the dark. He gently places the lifeless body into his palm, but in the pitch black, there is no way to verify if the creature is actually dead. You can't exactly check for a human pulse. Without warning, the room's electricity surges back to life. The space is instantly flooded with blinding, inescapable light, and the light reveals a shocking truth. He hasn't rescued a helpless piece of prey. Resting dead in his palm is the 8-legged master of the web itself. To make matters worse, a crippled ant is already crawling across the narrator's wrist, making its way down to scavenge the remains of the fallen giant. The logic has inverted. The master of the web, the one who set the trap and dictated who lived and died, was just as fragile as the things it hunted. The dead spider forces a cold realization. Mortality isn't a structured hierarchy with winners and losers. It is an indifferent force that claims all life with the same lack of ceremony. The narrator looks back out his window. While the power in his small room has returned, the sprawling street outside, the one that was brightly lit just moments ago, has now been completely swallowed by a blackout. Inside, there is the brightly lit, sterile reality of the dead spider. Outside, there is a vast, imposing darkness that seems to grin back at him. We live in a fragile state, surrounded by a universe that doesn't recognize our categories. Our attempts to label death as timely or untimely are just ways of trying to make sense of a silence that has no answers.